talking about psilocybin, also known as magic mushrooms, and how it's on the fast track as a treatment for depression. I've talked about treatment-resistant depression before and what we do about it. Treatment resistance occurs when a person's depression does not resolve with 2 antidepressant trials. The current options are to add another medication, like an antipsychotic medication. Some of these are medications like Abilify or Rexulti. A newer medication for this is Spravato, which is ketamine. We also use anticonvulsant therapy and transcranial magnetic stimulation. Unfortunately, only about 40 to 60% of people get completely better with medication. And for some people, not completely better is tolerable, but for others, you can still feel pretty miserable and have a lot of side effects that you're dealing with, like weight gain. So, new on the scene is psilocybin. Psilocybin is a compound found in mushrooms that has psychedelic properties. Psychedelic means that it makes you hallucinate. Psilocybin works in the brain by activating the 5-HT2A receptor on the neuron to increase serotonin. It's been used recreationally for years and is known to broaden your thinking and relax you and amplify your emotions. On this issue of broadening your thinking, there have been studies that have shown that after only 2 doses of psilocybin, the person was less neurotic and less authoritarian when it comes to their political views. Neuroticism is a measure of mental vulnerability to anxiety and depression. Authoritarian political views means that you prefer more government control, versus libertarianism is aligned with freedom from government control. So after 1 to 2 doses of psilocybin, people were more mentally flexible and less uptight about things. And the really interesting thing to me about this is that the attitude changes were seen 7 to 12 months after those 1 to 2 doses. It's not like they had to continue consuming it daily to maintain this new state of mind. Here's a little of the history of psilocybin. The studies on psilocybin date back as early as the 1950s. This led to the approval of the drug psilocybin made by Sandoz Pharmaceuticals in 1960, but it only lasted 6 years on the market before it was banned for abuse. Our society pushed back against the endorsement of a hallucinogenic drug. In 1970, Congress passed the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act, which created a classification of drugs based on their potential for abuse, accepted medical use, and accepted safety under medical supervision. They created 5 classes called schedules. Schedule 1 are drugs that have a high potential for abuse, no known medical use, and lack safety data. In 1970, psilocybin and LSD were put in this category. These drugs can only be used for investigational purposes. Schedules 2 through 5 include drugs that have medical use but still have a high potential for abuse, and the lower the number, the higher the abuse potential. So for example, Schedule 2 drugs include opioids like oxycodone and stimulants like Adderall. Schedule 3 includes ketamine and benzodiazepines like Klonopin and Xanax. Schedule 4 includes sleeping medications like Ambien. Schedule 5 includes drugs that have the lowest potential for abuse or dependence. And some examples of drugs on this schedule are Lyrica, Lomotil, which is a diarrhea medication, and some cough preparations that contain codeine. Drugs that are not considered to have any potential for abuse or dependence are not put on a schedule. So not all medications are scheduled drugs. Antidepressants are examples of medications that are not scheduled controlled substances. So back to psilocybin. A renewed interest in psilocybin began in the 1990s, and these studies showed therapeutic benefit for people suffering from anxiety, depression, and alcohol dependence. Many of these studies used 1 to 2 doses of psilocybin called microdosing. These small studies have accumulated over time, gaining the attention of large companies wanting to develop the drug for medical use.